Hi guys, in this particular video, I wanted to demonstrate to you uh, what we call computed properties in Vue.js. So, in some scenarios, you'll discover that let me first give you the build up to this. Like you see, in template syntax, we saw that you can actually include a JavaScript expression that evaluates to a value inside your data binding. Whether to normally in text interpolation, but now it becomes quite challenging if your expression is so big, like you may be mutating something, like you're doing so much and then you want to put it inside your template. Now, of course, Vue may execute that and it will work, but the problem comes into maintenance. Like for someone who will come over and look over your code and they will be like struggling to actually understand what you're trying to do by then. So that's why we have computed properties. With computed properties, you can put your logic inside your JavaScript and then you just call a value, like you be calling to a name that evaluates whatever you wanted to evaluate. And the nice bit about it is that it's reactive, meaning that if your data properties changes, your state changes, your reactive state changes, then that computed property will also re-evaluate and get updated inside your template. Now, let's just avoid too much talking and dive into the code. Now, I'm going to first of all clear up a bit more of this. I'm going to remove form and declare uh, two variable. I'll call the first one first name, and then I'll name another one last name. So I'm going to just give some default here. I'll call this gender. Um, Now, so I'm going to define now, create a computed property. Now there is a basic computed property. Say I now normally computed properties are simply getters, like read only. You cannot set the value of this particular field, because what I want to do is because right now I can achieve this simply by doing this here. I can say first name plus I give it a little bit of space and then last name here. And this will just do exactly what I wanted to achieve, gender. But now, if I want to like be able to set the name from this input field, and when I update it, it should reflect here. But I don't want to have this ugly code inside here. I want to keep it inside my JavaScript. That is where computed properties come in. Now, to achieve that, we're going to create a new property, option called computed. And inside here, if I if I create a basic computed property, which is just going to return for me full name, I'll actually let me call it full name. It should be a function, and it's just going to return this dot first name. Then we space it a bit and add on the last name. As easy as that. Now, instead of calling this long statement, I'm going to just say full name. And I save that. And it's just doing the same thing. Now, but now you cannot set full name, meaning that if I want to update the content of first name and last, I mean, this computed property, I have to update these individual variables to actually update the computed property. But what if I want to be able to actually set full name? Now that's where we're going to do something quite exciting. Now to achieve that, we're going to define the getters and setters for this particular computed property. And to do that, instead of this being function, make it like an object, like, and then we're going to define two: the get, which is going to be taking no argument. So get is going to return what we just had. Then this the last name. Then we're going to have another function called set. Now set will take an argument of the new value. Now we're going to do some bit of validation here. Now we're going to check to see if the text entered by the user has an empty like a spacing. If it has, and then we can make the assumption that the person has entered a name that has both the first and the last. So to do that, we're just going to do simple validation and dot includes if the new value includes an empty space, then we know that the users entered both names in one string, and we can just do the destructing structure to unpack that into our this dot first name comma this dot last name. So we're unpacking new value dot split. We're splitting it. It is a string. We're splitting at the empty space. And that's it. Now, how about if it doesn't contain else? So the else part, if it does not contain, I'm assuming it is just a single string. I'm just going to assign that value to the first name. Our first name. Oh no, there's typo here. So this to that is going to be the new value that we have passed to this method. And then for the last name, we're just going to equate it to an empty string. And now what we're going to do is going to be simple. Now to see this in action, we already have this full name being displayed here, but we need to have a mechanism to update it. So instead of calling the function, I'm going to first remove this. This method is not being used. Now, instead of calling update name, we are going to be updating full name. So full name equals to name. So you know our v model here is name. So the input text, whatever we input, will be updating name. And once we trigger the upchange event, it's going to update our full name. See how that looks like. Now, currently we have gender. Then here we have name. Now, I'm going to change this to John Bush, something like that. When I enter, you see, it has changed the entire name. Now, it has updated the first name and the last name. How about if I just put John? So the last name has been set to an empty string. So you can see this is called, this is now computed property. We are using computed property and to handle the complexity getting. Sorry about that warning. My battery seems to be going low, but I think this can push me for the time I need. So So I think this is really exciting, but there is one idea I need to mention that now, whatever we have actually just achieved here, you can achieve it using mere functions. You can declare your methods here, and then you can declare a get method and a set method to do whatever you want here, and call it here in your template. But the problem with that, it will just work fine, do the same thing. The problem with using method is that uh, a computed properties has a catching feature, like the values are cached, and until there is change in the values being computed, like the old values will be used even if you create a new instance of the computed property. But with a method, every time you invoke the method declaration has to be executed. So that is it. Now, when you consider a huge application with complex definition of a function, that will really impact on the performance. That's why we prefer computed properties that can, enhance some sort of speed and performance. Um, Guys, I think that's it for computed properties. So see you in the next video. Bye.